Albert Einstein was born on March 14, 1879, in the small German town of Ulm to his parents, Hermann and Pauline Einstein. They were an ordinary family. Hermann was a practical businessman who dealt in electrical parts, while Pauline was a homemaker with a deep appreciation for music and learning. At his birth, nothing about the infant Albert seemed particularly extraordinary, save for one detail that gave his family playful concern: the unusual size of his head. They joked about it, wondering if he would grow into a normal child, little suspecting he was destined to redefine the world itself. Albert was a profoundly quiet child. He did not utter his first words until he was nearly 3 years old, a delay that worried his parents and led some to assume he was slow. His family affectionately called him the Quiet One, as he remained silent while other children chattered endlessly. But Albert's quietness was not a sign of a slow mind. It was the mark of a deeply contemplative one. He would spend hours simply observing the world, his intense gaze trying to deconstruct the mechanics of everything around him. When Albert was 5, his father gave him a simple gift that would irrevocably alter the course of his life: a magnetic compass. The boy was mesmerized. How could the needle point so resolutely north, regardless of how he twisted or turned the casing? The mystery of this tiny object became an obsession. For hours he stared at it, pondering the invisible force that so steadfastly guided the needle. This was his first encounter with the profound idea that unseen forces govern the universe, and it ignited a lifelong quest to uncover them. He would later reflect that this experience left a deep and lasting impression on me. Formal schooling, however, did not suit him. Albert recoiled from the rigid teaching methods of the era, where students were expected to learn through rote memorization. He had no interest in simply absorbing facts. He was driven by a need to ask fundamental questions and discover the answers for himself. This inquisitiveness often angered his teachers. One, in a moment of frustration, told him, "You're a disgrace. You'll never be successful in life." While the words stung, they failed to extinguish the fire of his curiosity. Though he struggled with subjects like languages, there was one discipline he adored above all others: mathematics. He saw it as the language of the universe, a series of elegant puzzles waiting to be solved. His family, particularly his mother and uncle, nurtured his unique mind. Pauline noticed his affinity for music and encouraged him to learn the violin. Though he initially resisted practicing, music eventually became a sanctuary for him, a way to relax his mind and think with greater clarity. His uncle Jacob played an equally significant role, introducing him to mathematics in a fun and creative manner. "Math is like a treasure hunt," Jacob once told him. "Every problem is a clue that leads you to the solution." This playful approach fostered a deep and abiding love for numbers. While other children played games, Albert spent his time devouring books about great scientists, dreaming of one day making his own discoveries. It was during this period that a question of profound significance first took root in his mind. What would it be like to ride a beam of light? This single, imaginative query would stay with him for years, marking the beginning of his epic journey to understand the nature of light, space, and time. The Rebel Scholar, Education, and the Miracle Year. Albert's life took a challenging turn when he was 15. His father's business failed, forcing the family to relocate to Italy. Albert remained in Germany to complete his schooling, but he despised the separation from his family and the oppressive school environment. Feeling lonely and miserable, he made the bold decision to leave school without finishing, unable to tolerate the strict rules any longer. He chose instead to educate himself, devouring books on science, philosophy, and mathematics. It was a risky path that many believed had sealed his fate as a failure, but Albert was convinced that true learning was more important than conforming to rules. At 16, he penned his first scientific paper, a clear indication of his incredible potential. He applied to the prestigious Swiss Federal Polytechnic School in Zurich, but failed the entrance exam due to his struggles with non-science subjects like French and history. Rather than succumbing to defeat, Albert resolved to try again, working tirelessly to strengthen his weak areas. His perseverance paid off. At 17, he was accepted into the Polytechnic. Switzerland, with its more liberal and modern education system, was a perfect fit for his free-thinking nature. Yet, Even in this more encouraging environment, Albert's rebellious spirit made it difficult for him to conform. He was captivated by mathematics and physics, but showed little interest in other subjects, often skipping lectures to pursue his own deeper questions about the universe. His professors found his methods unconventional. One remarked, "You're a smart boy, Einstein, but you lack discipline." During his time at the Polytechnic, Albert met Mileva Maric, the only female physics student in his class. A brilliant and passionate scientist in her own right, she shared his intellectual fire. They became inseparable companions, spending countless hours debating scientific theories. Albert once wrote to her, "Together we will conquer the world of science." Their relationship, however, faced headwinds, as Mileva endured criticism for being a woman in a male-dominated field, and Albert wrestled with financial instability. In 1900, at the age of 21, Albert graduated with a degree in physics, eager to begin his scientific career. But life had other plans. He was unable to find an academic job, facing rejection from every university he applied to, partly due to poor recommendations from professors who considered him unmotivated. It was a deeply painful period. Finally, in 1902, he secured a humble position as a clerk at the Swiss Patent Office in Bern. His job was to review patent applications, a task far removed from his scientific ambitions. Yet, instead of succumbing to disappointment, Albert transformed his circumstances. The job afforded him free time, which he used to ponder his scientific ideas. He began to call the patent office his thinking lab, secretly scribbling down his revolutionary thoughts on light, time, and space after his official work was done. In 1903, Albert and Mileva married and soon had their first son, Hans Albert. Life was a struggle on a clerk's meager salary, and they lived in a small apartment, barely making ends meet. Friends advised him to abandon his scientific dreams, but Albert refused, stating, "I would rather struggle for my passion than live comfortably without purpose." His persistence culminated in 1905, a year scientists now call his Annus Mirabilis, or miracle year. At the age of 26, this unassuming patent clerk published a series of papers that forever changed the course of physics. The photoelectric effect. He explained that light behaves as discrete particles, photons, a discovery that would later earn him the Nobel Prize. Brownian motion. He provided definitive proof for the existence of atoms, a groundbreaking achievement at the time. The special theory of relativity. His most famous work, which introduced the radical idea that time and space are relative. From this theory emerged the iconic equation E as mc2, revealing the interchangeability of energy and matter. These papers sent shockwaves through the scientific community. A humble clerk with no university affiliation had single-handedly revolutionized physics. A reluctant icon, fame, peace, and a lasting legacy. After 1905, Albert Einstein's life transformed. The world's scientific community began to recognize his genius, and he was offered professorships at several universities, including Zurich and Prague. His hard work had finally paid off. Yet, fame did not change the man. He remained humble, once remarking, "I am no genius, I am simply curious. I stay with questions longer than others." In 1914, he accepted a prestigious position at the Prussian Academy of Sciences and moved to Berlin. This new role gave him the freedom to focus entirely on his research. It was a tumultuous time as World War I erupted across Europe. While many scientists supported the war effort, Albert became a vocal pacifist, using his growing influence to advocate for peace and understanding. During this period, his marriage to Mileva dissolved under the pressures of fame and past struggles, and they divorced in 1919. That same year, his genius was confirmed on a global scale. A team of British scientists tested his general theory of relativity during a solar eclipse and proved his prediction that gravity could bend light. The news spread like wildfire, and Albert Einstein became a global icon overnight. For the first time in history, a scientist was treated with the fervor of a celebrity. Reflecting on this with his characteristic wit, he said, "If my theories are proven wrong, the Americans will say I am a German, and the Germans will say I am a Jew. If my theories are proven right, the Germans will say I am a German, and the Americans will say I am a Jew." Throughout the 1920s, Albert traveled the world, giving lectures and using his platform to champion peace, minority rights, and support for refugees. Peace cannot be kept by force, he declared. It can only be achieved by understanding. His idealism drew criticism, but he faced it with grace, stating, "Great spirits have always encountered violent opposition from mediocre minds." The rise of the Nazi regime in 1933 forced Albert, a prominent Jewish scientist, to flee Germany. The Nazis publicly burned his books and denounced his work as Jewish science. He found refuge in the United States, joining the Institute for Advanced Study in Princeton, New Jersey, and becoming an American citizen in 1940. During World War II, his famous equation, E as mc2, laid the theoretical groundwork for nuclear energy, and he was asked to support the development of an atomic bomb. Though his direct role was minimal, he was deeply troubled when he learned of the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. He regretted that his work had contributed to such destruction and dedicated the rest of his life to advocating for nuclear disarmament. "Mankind invented the atomic bomb," he lamented, "but no mouse would ever construct a mousetrap." Despite his worldwide fame, Albert lived a simple, humble life. He refused to own a car, famously didn't wear socks, and enjoyed sailing, even though he never learned to swim. His profound curiosity never waned. He continued to probe the universe's deepest mysteries, from the nature of black holes to a unified field theory that he pursued until his final days. On April 18, 1955, Albert Einstein passed away at the age of 76. His contributions to science and humanity are unparalleled. His life serves as a powerful reminder that struggles shape greatness. Curiosity drives progress, and true humility is a mark of power. His name is now synonymous with genius, but his story is about something more: the perseverance, courage, and unwavering belief that a single, passionate individual can change the world. As he himself advised, try not to become a person of success, but rather try to become a person of value.